It's the end of a long day. You settle into the couch, stretch, and let out a deep, slow yawn. Almost on cue, the dog at your feet lifts his head and yawns right back. We usually assume this is just a coincidence, a shared need for oxygen or a simple physical reflex. But researchers in London decided to put that assumption to the test. They had a person sit calmly in front of 29 different dogs. In one round, the person would perform a real, unhurried yawn. In a separate round, they opened their mouth in a fake movement as a control. When humans genuinely yawned, 72% of the dogs caught it. This is unusual. Humans catch each other's yawns 45 to 60% of the time, and chimpanzees around 33%. Dogs catch yawns across the species line more than we catch our own. This was the first proven instance of a contagious yawn leaping the species barrier. It suggested that a hidden signal was successfully passing between human and dog. To understand what that signal is, we must look at the human psychology of the yawn. In people, catching a yawn has less to do with being tired and more to do with emotional connection. This follows a clear empathy ladder. Yawns spread most easily among family members. They spread less among friends, less again among acquaintances, and the contagion rate hits its lowest point among complete strangers. This link is hardwired. Contagious yawning only starts in humans around age 4, the exact window when children begin to develop theory of mind, or the understanding that other people have their own separate feelings. Adults who find it harder to read others' emotions also catch yawns less frequently. In humans, the reflex is inseparable from our emotional wiring, which raises a central question. If contagious yawning is a hallmark of human empathy, does your dog yawning back at you mean they are actually feeling the exact same thing that you feel? A team in Tokyo designed an experiment to see if this empathy ladder applies to dogs. They gathered 25 dogs and observed their reactions to 2 different people. One person was a complete stranger, the other was the dog's own owner. The findings were striking. The dogs yawned noticeably more for their owners than for the strangers, mirroring the familiarity bias we see in people. But scientists had to consider an alternative. A nervous dog will yawn as a displacement behavior, like at a vet's office. Perhaps the dogs were just stressed? To check this, the team monitored the dogs' heart rates. Throughout the entire experiment, the heart rates remained steady and calm. Stress wasn't driving the yawns. For a moment, this looked like physiological proof of what dog lovers had always suspected, that a warm, rudimentary form of empathy lives inside our dogs. In science, however, one study is just a single brick. For a finding to be trusted, it has to be replicated by other teams. When independent researchers ran the test again, that familiarity bias vanished. The dogs still caught the yawns, but they didn't reliably yawn more for the people they loved. The picture got more complicated when researchers tested sound. They found that dogs could catch a yawn purely by hearing a familiar human sigh, without even seeing a face. This has led to a scientific stalemate. We can't yet tell if this is true emotional empathy or automatic mimicry, a complex but unfeeling reflex triggered by intense social attention. Because we cannot perfectly map the machinery of a dog's mind, the exact psychological mechanism carrying that yawn remains a mystery. Despite the unresolved debate in the laboratory, there is a clear takeaway for the home. Your dog watches you closely enough to catch a microscopic, fleeting rhythm in your behavior. Whether that response is eventually labeled as empathy or mimicry, it shows that your dog is consistently tuned in to the smallest details of your existence. We often fall into 2 extremes, either dismissing dogs as unfeeling reflex machines or treating them like humans in fur coats. The science suggests both are likely wrong. Dogs are unique animals with rich inner worlds that we are only beginning to accurately map. The most helpful approach is to stay curious rather than certain. The next time your dog yawns back at you, you don't need a final verdict from a scientist to enjoy the moment. Let the mystery be a part of sharing your life with another species. If you want to keep exploring the bond we share with our dogs, take a moment to subscribe and like the video. Tell us in the comments if your dog catches your yawns, and I'll see you in the next one.